Welcome to Sporting Bet. We're back on the road to Cheltenham. The gentleman to my left needs no introduction. Is of course Neil Channing, professional punter extraordinaire and the co-owner with Joe Beavers of the Betting Emporium. And if you've ever been watching Sporting Bet before, you'll know we start our road to Cheltenham with a professional punter, somebody who knows what they're doing, and we're actually trying to make some money, and we're trying to lay some bets. So Neil, welcome back.
I put the lucky red jumper on again.
Lucky for you sometimes, maybe last year not so good. Well, I'm not sure how it went last year. It was 50-50, was it?
I was pretty unlucky last year actually, but everyone else it was all about Annie Powell, wasn't it, falling at the last. That race for us was all about Polly Peacham. Beaten in a photo. That was a bit painful. We had the other one in the cross-country race. I don't know whether you remember the poor old photographer carried out on a stretcher. We were carried out on a stretcher in that race. The horse veered across us when we were cruising and ready to win. In about 30 seconds there, you realise that Neil's always looking for some value bets. So let's get straight into this year, Neil. We're going to talk about the championship races over the next couple of weeks, and we'll also talk about the champion hurdle later today. But some of these races look tricky, don't they? And from a betting angle, from a bookmaker's angle, we're under pressure because you're
there's so many
right.
short favourites.
Clearly, some people would say, what's he talking about? Tricky. It's easy. You just Willie Mullins, Willie Mullins, 1 to 3, 1 to 2, even money, bish bash bosh, go up to collect. You're right, it probably will happen. He's going to have a lot of winners, isn't he? But that's not really going to be how we pay our bills. Some people would say, well, professional, these 1 to 3 chances, they're for professional punters. They can go and have their 3,000 to 1 on, get the wages, heat the swimming pool for another week, that kind of thing. That's not really what I'm looking for. What I like, and what you probably hate, you people at Sporting Bet, is the each way against the short price favourite. Now I realise that's not a popular thing for bookmakers, is it? It's an inherent problem with the each way market that the place value you're giving away at a quarter, 1, 2, 3 is a bit too much, and it costs you. So you're probably not going to push that. You got something else to push, I'd imagine. We'll
touch on the place market later on the champion hurdle, and also we'll talk about last year how that went. But just to give you an idea, Neil's right. So all bookmakers are struggling at the moment to really come up with massive offers regarding the championship races. But what we're doing at the moment, Neil knows this to be a fact. I know it to be true. We're trying to lay bets. So at the moment we've got 6 races that we've selected, where we're giving second and third. If your horse comes second and third, we want to give you your money back. So we'll go through these races now, Neil. We'll touch on them later in the year, obviously, as we get closer to it, because the entries aren't sorted. So on day one in the Ultimate Business Solutions Handicap Chase, and in the Chaps Novices Handicap Chase.
Oh, you picked the easy races of the day.
We've got to find a way here. Second and third, you get your money back there. On day 2, the Coral Cup. In day 3, the Brown Advisory Plate. And day 4, the County Hurdle and the Grand Annual. So at the moment, if you're playing those races, second or third, you get your money back. But I think it goes to show you.
And you can. There's a limit on how much you can have on that, is there?
Listen,
what do I get? A free bet or something?
People can play in decent size.
It's good. Second or third. It sounds good. It's fair.
And I think the point you make, which is the fascinating one for punters at the moment, is that isn't it interesting that us as bookmakers trying to stimulate business, we can't do anything in races like the Champion Hurdle, which we'll talk about now, the Arkle, maybe the Gold Cup is a different race. There's a bit of race. But the shape of those races
and the Champion Chase, we got it. Another horse came out of that yesterday. One of the fancy ones.
It's very difficult. Let's just talk about the Champion Hurdle briefly.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about Betting Emporium later on. But last year in the Champion Hurdle, and I think it's fair that we both talk about this because we're both punters as well.
Suffered badly.
You were each way Jesky. I was each way the new one.
You'd have had any. We didn't have a great ride with Jesky. Actually, I don't like to be critical of jockeys moaning, punters about jockeys, but I feel like we didn't have the best ride there.
But just talking about the market briefly, we were each way. I was each way new one. You were each way Jesky. You'd be amazed that neither of them would come in the first 3. I guess that's the way the race went. But let's just touch briefly on this year's race.
Well, the first thing I would want to say about the races, and this is a kind of mechanics of the race thing. They put the prize money up, but it pays down to 6th place. Now imagine if you're the trainer of something like Sempre Medici or Parlour Games or some kind of horse like that. Realistically, you're thinking, well, Forheen's pretty much got this locked up. If it doesn't win, it's going to come second or third, isn't it? There's all these other decent horses, like the other 2 Willie Mullins horses, Arctic Fire and Nichols Canyon. They're looking pretty solid for a place. If you've got one of these kind of 50 to 1 to 100 to 1 chances, and there's only 6 places on offer, and these are decent horses, but just off the top class. there's got to be better opportunities at Cheltenham for you to pick up a decent 5-figure or even a 6-figure sum. And I think you'll go for a handicap instead. I personally think we might struggle to see 8 runners in this race, and I think it's not certain that Willie Mullins has 3 runners in the race. He's got, obviously Faugheen has pretty much caned Arctic Fire and Nichols Canyon last time. It wouldn't surprise me. He's done it before, where he suddenly said a few days before, do you know what, we're going to save it for Punchestown, we're going to save it for Liverpool.
So that's a great point already you're making. There's every chance that even though we've got kind of 16 entries now, we may get down to 7 or maybe
I
6,
think we
7,
could.
8
And obviously if you have a bet now with Sporting Bet or any other bookmaker, you're on at the each way terms. If you place a bet this morning or this afternoon, whatever, you're on a quarter first 3, however many horses run.
So let's touch on Faugheen briefly. I'm not sure what price his penalty kicks are these days. It's around about 4
It is basically the price of a penalty kick.
I can legitimately say it's a penalty kick.
Penalty kicks in the Premier are about 4 to 11. It's a machine, obviously.
But I'm right in saying that you're not going to play that as a pro punter for Faugheen, because how could you?
I don't really. I mean, everything has a price. If you want to lay me 4 to 6 right now, you might get me. But it's. You're non-runner no bet. So obviously, if we do bet it today at 4 to 11 and it doesn't run, I get my money back. So I'm not risking that. The only reason though that I would rush to back it at 4 to 11 now is if I think there's no possible chance of getting a bigger price between now and the day of the race. And with all the offers that are going on these, I don't know what you guys are going to do on the day. You might go crazy. You might offer even money for these.
It's difficult to see what we do at the moment. But so for Faugheen at the moment,
I'm not going to back Faugheen, even though it wouldn't surprise me one iota if it won. It's obviously a great horse.
And I'm not going to go to massive depth right now for the sport and vet viewers, but let's just check the rest. The rest of these horses, for me, there's lots of 2.5 mile horses.
Let me throw a couple of horses out. Peace and Co. has just got absolutely hammered. My Tent or Yours, been off a long time. Wouldn't surprise me if Nicky announces in a week's time that it's all come too soon and he's not going to be able to run it. Old Guard for Nichols, well, he's not really having a great time, is he? And that hasn't really quite developed as much as he maybe thought. It's possible that runs, but it's still going to be 33 to 1. I couldn't really have that. Identity Thief has been well beaten by Nichols Canyon. I'm going to play a horse that's solid, that's there or thereabouts, that has good Cheltenham form. A lot of people slag off this horse. They're saying, it can't really win. It's been beaten once or twice before. It's well held by Faugheen. But we're looking at the place. It's a quarter of the odds I place, 16 to 1. I'm getting 4 to 1 a place with Sporting Bet. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to bet the new one each way. And I'll tell you one thing. We know the new one stays 2.5 miles. Obviously, it was very unlucky in the race without Connor a couple of years ago. Maybe it would have won that day. I appreciate that the horse is not getting any younger. None of us are. But possibly, for once, can we get some of these idiot jockeys to take on Faugheen from the front? Instead of giving a nice, soft, easy lead to the machine, why doesn't the new one just kick on and get on with it? And let's see if he can stretch them from the front. Because when Nichols Canyon beat Faugheen earlier in the year, that's how he got beat. Let's try that this time. Come on, the new one, up the hill.
That's the starting point for Neil then. The new one each way. Coming back that horse now, Sporting Bet, each way 16 to 1. We're there. We're certainly there to lay that horse. For me,
you don't look too confident, Russ.
Well, I backed it each way myself at 4 last year. It didn't come anywhere, so I'm not really going to be that keen on it. But that's the value pick initially for Neil. We're going to be back over the next few weeks with plenty of other selections. I've given you the offers to start with. We're going to have plenty to play on here at Sporting Bet over the next few weeks. Thanks to Neil from Betting
No
Point.
problem.
Make sure you can get into his subscriptions for Cheltenham as well, and we'll be back shortly.